The glass, concrete, and steel buildings that once occupied 1800 Jerrold Avenue were completed in 1959 and were deemed historic as important local examples of industrial modern architecture in San Francisco. They housed the city's central shops under the General Services Administration and provided maintenance and repair to the city fleet. This is the story of how these buildings came to be, who conceived of their distinctive design, and the important role the central shops have played in the life of San Francisco. Since its earliest days, San Francisco has led the way with innovations to city living and the management of essential city functions, from the streetcar system that grew into the country's first municipally run urban railway, the beautiful Beaux-Arts City Hall and Civic Center built after the 1906 earthquake, and the Hetch-Hetchy water and power system, an engineering feat that brought Tuolumne River water 167 miles across the state to bring drinking water and green power to its citizenry. San Francisco has always been the city that knows how. Up until the 1950s management of the city's motor vehicle fleet, such as fire trucks and police cars, was a costly system of repair shops spread out across the city. In an effort to be more efficient, the city's purchasing department determined to build a single central shop for this work in the southeast sector of the city.
They had scattered facilities throughout the city, 3 major shops, 11 different other shops. And what they wanted to do was consolidate all that work into one place.
Since the late 1800s, this southeast sector had been occupied by a variety of industries, from slaughterhouses, factories, and refineries, as well as various railroad lines. The nearby Isleas estuary made the area swampy and generally unsuitable. But in the 1930s, a 230-acre industrial district was formed by dredging the creek channel and filling in the estuary.
The site of the central shops had some small buildings and maybe some livestock. Historic areas you can see underdeveloped, sort of a marshy area filled in.
In 1952, the city built the Southeast Wastewater Treatment Plant on the land just adjacent to what would become the central shops within the next decade. The city engaged architect Michael A. Gallus to design the new Central Shops complex. What he conceived was something quite different than your typical mid-20th century auto shop. Gallus' blueprints showed work areas that are bright, filled with open space, and thoughtfully conceived. He followed an aesthetic of international modernism pioneered by architect Mies van der Rohe. He designed a facility that contained 2 fully enclosed shop buildings and a smaller shed structure that housed all the essential functions needed to bring the maintenance and repair functions of the city fleet into one complex. During his long career, Michael Gallus partnered with renowned modernist architect Eric Mendelsohn on many projects, including the Maimonides Health Center on Sutter Street. Gallus also designed important structures for the Atomic Energy Commission labs above the UC Berkeley campus and the NASA Ames Research Center at Moffett Field.
The international style modernism arose in the early 20th century. It's an aesthetic that takes into account functionalism, order, and proportion, and harmony. And it's breaking down the elements of architecture into their basic forms. The structure of the central shops are what they are. Form is following function.
This minimalist approach of form following function combined steel, glass, and concrete without extraneous ornamentation, and created spaces that were flexible, efficient, and flooded with natural light.
In this space, we can see some of the industrial modern aspects of the facility. This is where they repaired fire trucks. This open space without supports is created on the concrete walls and the steel trussing that creates that open, wide open bay of spaces. And there's a set of sliding doors there that allow for the trucks to access the space. The net result is that it is the maximum amount of space in here to allow for efficient use and efficient operations of the vehicle maintenance. The large sliding doors, they integrate with the overall aesthetic of the curtain wall, but they also serve this function. They allow for the large opening to get the trucks in and out, and the sliding doors don't interfere with the interior space. Here what we see are the door surrounds at the administrative office, and there's also one down at the locker room. And these are the only two locations that they would have used this really simple but elegant concrete door surround that continues from the concrete apron wall.
In the half-century since these structures were completed, they've provided efficient and flexible workspace for maintaining the city fleet. And that fleet has grown from 1,400 when the shops first opened to over 6,000 vehicles in recent years. In addition to servicing and repairs to fire trucks, police cars, and other city vehicles, the Central Shops complex also had a body shop, a paint shop, a machine shop to fabricate difficult-to-replace parts, and perhaps most interestingly, a shop that specifically designed and fabricated the wooden ladders for the San Francisco Fire Department. San Francisco is one of the few remaining fire departments in the country that continues to build and maintain wooden ladders. Both beautiful and functional, the reason for wood is very simple. It doesn't melt like fiberglass or get hot like metal. If a wooden ladder does catch fire, fire crews are able to scramble down long before the ladder itself becomes inoperable.
When in the fire, you use a wood ladder, so if they burn, you see it, so the firemen can get out.
While the focus of the Central Shops was vehicle maintenance, over the years, the specialized work done in the shops often contributed to other important city projects, maintaining pump stations and other mechanical systems, including repairing the famous windmills in Golden Gate Park. And the shops also designed and fabricated key pieces of equipment for the San Francisco Fire Department, including the specialized valves and fittings needed to control water pressure in the city's unique auxiliary water supply system constructed to fight fires in the decades after the 1906 earthquake. A few of the projects undertaken by the shops were a bit less serious, but still required their unique skills. The Doggy Diner head, a city landmark outside the San Francisco Zoo, blew over in a windstorm in 2001, smashing its nose. The crew at the shops was able to recast the famous mascot. And the horse-drawn carriage used by the city's fire chief in the early 1900s was also restored to its original glory. In recent years, the city has grown, and with that growth, a need to expand and upgrade the Southeast Sewage Treatment Plant adjacent to the Central Shops structures. The Central Shops have relocated to a new modern facility nearby, and the old Central Shops site will be home to the large sustainable digesters and other vital structures for the expanded plant. The new biosolids digester facility uses modern technologies, including odor control, resiliency to earthquakes, and capturing digester gas to power the majority of the treatment plant. While the industrial modern architecture of the old shops may be gone, the stories of what they accomplished in their heyday will endure, and the improvements to San Francisco's infrastructure will benefit its citizens long into the 21st century.